Hey guys, Sabrina, your mortgage lender here, and today I want to talk to you about how much money do you really need to buy a home. So there are a lot of myths out there. I want to go over a few, and for specific questions, we can connect on the phone, through email, via text, reach out for specific questions. But how much money do you really need? I think a lot of first-time buyers, there's a common misconception that you need tens of thousands of dollars on hand to have saved up in order to be able to buy a home, and that is just not true today. So down payment myths, there's a lot that you have to have. I think the biggest one that I hear is that you need to have 10 or 20% down to buy a primary residence. That is just not true, you guys. Depending on the loan program that you have, FHA is 3.5% down. Conventional can go as low as 3%, usually 5%. And if you're in a rural area where you could do a USDA loan, also we'll sidetrack on that, but as long as your income property qualifies for USDA, 0% down. If you qualify for a VA loan, if you're an active duty service member, veteran with honorable discharge, and you fit the VA guidelines, 0% down payment. So a lot of that you definitely don't need nearly as much as you're probably thinking you do for a down payment. And then there's assistant programs. I'm going to hop to the third one. We'll come back to closing costs, but there are down payment assistant programs. So there are programs that you can actually go in and get it's basically a second loan that comes in that covers that down payment portion, to where literally you're financing everything but your closing costs. And so there are programs literally where you don't need to worry about the down payment coming out of pocket or saving ahead of time. Again, there are down payment assistance programs. There's also different counties, and this is something you would need to look at based on the county that you're looking to buy in. Grants that will come from the county or from the state level that you can get, that if you fit certain circumstances, that you can get a grant that can actually be forgiven. So you wouldn't even have to pay that back for your down payment. So there's so many different options. It's definitely worth doing research on grants that might be available to you when you're buying a home. And then closing costs. So closing costs that is something that is going to be expected to have a plan from the buyer side, regardless of the loan program that you have. So closing costs are all the third-party costs that just can't be wrapped into the loan. They're the appraisal, the termite clearance, all the title fees, transfer taxes, homeowners insurance policy that it has to be paid annually. So you're going to pay the entire year up front with your closing costs. If there's pest inspections that need to be done, land surveys, anything like that, all these get wrapped into the closing costs. And so this is something that there are a few different ways to handle, but again, as the buyer, we're going to be responsible for having a plan to cover these ahead of time before you're putting offers in. So it could be any money that you've saved up. It could be money that you're being gifted from friends or family. It could be money that you are withdrawing. You can do early withdrawals from a retirement account, and you won't get without getting the early penalty fees if you're doing it for the sake of closing costs for buying a home. So that is one of the hardship withdrawal circumstances, that they do allow you to pull money from retirement funds early without getting penalized for that. So lots of different ways you can look at that. The other way would also be that when your realtor is writing up individual offers on individual properties, they can also ask if the sellers would be willing to cover a portion or a percentage of those closing costs. So while you may still need to come in, it is definitely recommended to save as much as you can to try and have a plan. The ideal would be to be able to cover all the closing costs yourself. However, there are definitely ways to work within this if you don't have a ton of money up front, that you can come in and still buy your house without needing tens of thousands of dollars. So hopefully this maybe settles some nerves or answers some questions that you may have had in your mind. If this has been the only thing that's holding you back, maybe you only have a couple thousand saved, 10,000, whatever saved, it's worth looking into, seeing what you need to do, and if there are programs available that can actually get you into a house much sooner than you think. So have a great day, guys. Connect with me, DM me, comment on this video, but let's connect and get you into a home, okay? Take care.